Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Pick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Monday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, as always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. On the show today, we are all feeling just a little bit bullish. Seems like everywhere we look, stocks are making new highs. Of course, we made all-time highs last week. We have pod stocks ripping, Chinese stocks ripping, growth tech stocks are ripping. So a lot of hot stocks to talk about. That'll be the theme of today's show. Tesla, of course, in the news over the weekend. Elconin had a big move on Friday. We might talk about that as well. We'll, of course, take your questions in our chat on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Joel, what is happening this morning in the S&P futures?
Yeah, follow through from Friday's strong close. Your low in the pre-market session is your exact close, 76.75. We're now 9 handles away from that. Some numbers on the upside, well, there really isn't any. If you use the rolling front month contract, we did trade at 28.87 a quarter back on January 29th, but March was your rolling contract there. So maybe just set your sights on a nice round number like 2,900 this week. Crude trading down a few pennies here at 28.70, snuck over 69 on Friday. Big number on the outside for a continued crude rally. Friday's high 69.31. That coincided with a couple highs that you had earlier in the month of August. Gold up over 1,200, trading down a dime here at 12.50. Silver in the red by a few pennies at 14.77. And don't look now, but Bitcoin futures. I have the SIBO contract trading up $102.05 at 6,700. And what's interesting here about the Bitcoin futures, they're just hanging out near resistance. And when things hang out near resistance, they tend to take it out. So I'm a little bullish. You guys are bullish the market and this and that. I'm a little bullish Bitcoin here. We'll see what happens. Of course, stop under 6,000. Triple D, how was your weekend, and how you doing this morning?
Weekend was okay. I agree with you on Bitcoin. I'm actually bullish Bitcoin too as a technical trade. A long term, I'm still not a believer, but I think you got that stop under 6,000. It's a fun way to play it. So we've done it already once here where we were saying when it went from 6,000 to 8,000, we're like, you know what, it sets up not bad. So let's try it again. I mean, from just paper trading it here, I would be long if I was a crypto trader, but I'm not a crypto trader. I'm an equities trader, so we won't talk crypto too long here on the show. Weekend was good, Joel. Did a little bit of boating, just not too much. Just a nice little weekend there. Weather's supposed to be bad here today, though. We're supposed to get some storms. I don't know what's supposed to do in the D, but anyways, how was your weekend?
Good. I got Emily back to school, back off to Syracuse, and
it's that time of year.
Yeah, she was home for a couple weeks, so that was great. And then Miss Dana is on a Norwegian cruise. She's out in the Baltic Sea right now. Yeah, just did a trip. So anxious, to hear from her. She's doing some hiking out in the mountains, and the only bad news was Michigan's top wide receiver broke his foot in practice on Saturday. So Michigan, Notre Dame, are you coming in, Dennis? Did you get me tickets?
I should come into that.
Yeah.
We'll have to reach out to Professor Bertalio and see if we can get some tickets.
Yeah. Based on our performance last time, I think I'll sit home and watch it on the couch.
Yeah, it wasn't good when me and Joel went last time, and obviously we're all decked out in blue, and it was not pretty. We almost got kicked out in the first quarter too. we won't say why. That was your fault.
I feel like it was definitely Joel's fault.
It's always Joel's fault.
Having been to games with Joel
from listening to this show for the last 4 years, it's always Joel's fault.
Just having been to games with Joel before, I can imagine. Anyway.
Let's talk Tesla. Everybody's talking here today. I was reading my Twitter stream, and if I was reading my Twitter stream correctly, everybody thought this thing was going to zero. Me and you were talking last night, and I was like, I want to buy this dip. I was hoping for I was actually hoping for a complete washout here where you'd see this thing down like 25 or 30 points. We're not getting it. It is already significantly off the lows. I'm making the call here now. I think Tesla goes green today. So on this news, I think Tesla is going up. It's down $10 here in the pre-market. I think it can go green today. I'm not going to make a bet. You'd have to give me pretty good odds because obviously.
No, I'm not. Dennis, last night you were like, when you said you were looking for like 280, 290, I go, you're not going to see it. I just don't think.
I was hoping.
Right. You had a plan. Right.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to that level I didn't buy it at before, but I wanted to. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's and maybe maybe it does give you a shot down there, but I don't think so. I think the buy party is coming in. Let's just talk about what. Okay, tell us first of all what happened, Spencer, over the weekend, and then we'll break it down.
The classic Friday night news dump. So if you were one of the few people watching the Tesla blog page at Friday, like whatever it was, like 8 p.m. Eastern time, then you got the news first that Tesla going private is a no-go. They will remain a public company. I think the line that everyone sort of zeroed in on in that post was that Elon or whoever read it was saying, the sentiment among investors was, please don't do this. So I saw that headline multiple times over the weekend, but please don't do this. So they're not going to do it. And that was that. That was a fun 2 weeks.
I tweeted out a Wall Street Journal. So if you just, take this at face value, not following, and if you're not reading it closely there, you say, oh, this was a scam. He was just trying to pump the price up. This was not a scam. And people who are saying that aren't following the story close enough, or they're just not reading, they want to believe in the shorts thesis. He really wanted to take it private. I mean, he was talking about it. This was serious. He got a little bit excited, and he obviously jumped the gun with his comments and with his tweet. And, there's going to be some SEC repercussions. He's probably going to get a fine for that, but he's not going to jail for that. So if you're short that and you're hoping that, I think you're wrong. I just look at it. I think, where are we now? So there was a potential 420. It's not on the table here now. It's gone. So you have that. That was kind of, when the stock was 387, we actually argued that, well, that's putting a cap on it here. I mean, what's your upside? So the cap is now gone. So, some of those long-term call options probably could go up on this news, actually, even despite the stock, trading down 10 points here, because they came in, when the potential cap came on at 420. But I tweeted out a Wall Street Journal article last night. Obviously, there's multiple articles about this, but this was a good one. And it was just, it was from, I'm not sure who wrote it, but the headline of the article there.
I'll tell you who's.
Yeah, the headline of the article is Public Bravado, Private Doubts, Inside the Unraveling of Elon Musk Tesla Buyout. So I expected to read a very bearish article. I read that article, and I actually left bullish, because from this article, they were talking about how, some of the stuff went down last week. And it read to me like, hey, he had the money to do this. If he wanted to, he could have actually done this deal. It looked like Silver Lake, Goldman Sachs were putting together. They had private buyers. If I just read you some stuff from the article, it said by Wednesday evening, they had a presentation from Mr. Musk, this is Goldman and Silver Lake, proposing a roster of deep-pocketed investors, including Volkswagen and Silver Lake itself, that had agreed to contribute as much as $30 billion. So they had the money. And it just that Musk was looking at it, and he didn't like the idea of Volkswagen being one of the major investors in it, one of his competitors coming in. And there's just a lot of believers in the story. After I read that, I was like, man, there's believers in the story. And if that is really the case, and as we're talking, this just went up another $1.50. But if that is really the case here, maybe we're talking it up here, Joel. But
my
if
takeaway,
that's the case, that there's that many believers out there, and we got to think about it. Is this a stock that's been, really, it hasn't gone that far in the last few years, and there's the arguments it's very much underperformed the S&P over the last 4 or 5 years. But let's just stop and think. This story, has really, the stock can't go down on bad news. It has been going down on bad news, and they haven't made money. They keep burning cash, but they're going to make money. This stock is moving towards making money. They're doing some things. Eventually, what if the stock can go and perform this well, really, and you look over the last, 7 years when it's from $40 to $300. I mean, when they're not making money, imagine when they start actually making money. And those Guggenheim estimates are out there at $19 a share for 2020. I don't think it's going to make that, but Guggenheim does. And I mean, just imagine if this thing started to make $2, $3, $4, $5 a share. There'd be a lot more believers, and there's people like me that all of a sudden, hey, This is, it's not a value story, obviously, at all, but it's not a cash burning story anymore. So I can see the arguments here from the bull camp, and I am really trying to squint to see the arguments from the bear camp here right now. So I know we're down 9 points here right now, but if you're leaning on, well, Elon Musk is going to jail because he tweeted out we had financing secured, I think there's a lot of holes in your short thesis.
And
so
what
I'm
are
bullish? I'm actually bullish. I don't know why.
I'm not going to argue with you, Dennis. There's a couple different factors that I could give my quick fundamental factors. There's going to be changes in the transportation industry. I mean, there's no doubt. Like your little Spencer and Spencer's little Spencers. I mean, they're not going to have cars. They're not going to have driver's license. There's an evolution coming in transportation. Is Tesla going to be the company that does this? Right now it's far ahead of anybody. I don't know what the Detroit automakers are trying to figure out, but there is going to be a change in the transportation industry. And if you want to participate in it right now, Tesla is a stock to participate in. The shorts are going to not have much to lean on here for more bad news because you've already had the earnings. It was trading 320 earnings, got the bump. To me right now, and don't ask me how I come up to me, 340 is fair value in this stock because that's where it was trading at after the earnings and before the tweet. And then I'm looking at the daily chart here. And since all the news came out, I mean, it's not a perfect, quad top or whatever, but holy smokes, you clear 325, 326 here. I mean, you could immediately be back at 340 or 360. So I'm respecting the resistance. Longer term trading range here. I mean, if you get a chance to buy this at 280, you did have a 273 low back in May. I mean, you got all those lows in the same area. I mean, trading range, I get super bullish above 326, 327. And I've said this almost 100 times just as an ode to Gene Munster. I got to put a little, I don't have any stocks like this in my portfolio. It's not going to kill me, to put, 500 shares or something like that in there. See what happens with it.
You're going to buy 500 shares of Tesla?
500 would be a little bit.
That's an aggressive position for your
That would be aggressive. There. That would be aggressive. But,
I'm honestly thinking about it, though.
Forget about it,
we're talking up. It's up another 2 points here. We started talking about 312. It's 315 now. I guess I should have stopped talking and just started buying. But I mean, some people obviously are buying this thing. I don't know why. I've not been a Tesla bull. Although I started to get bullish back there when the stock got down to 300 there a while ago, and then I had the rip up ahead of the earnings. But I don't know why. I've not been in the bullish camp at all. And it's a value. I know why, because I'm a value guy and it's not a value stock. But when I read the Guggenheim and I start thinking about it, I was like, yeah, Ford and GM, their margins are so tight. Tesla could end up having a lot better margins. I mean, yeah, they're burning cash right now, but he's talking about being profitable next quarter. Is that going to happen? Maybe not. But next year, probably. I mean, they're going to be profitable here eventually. There is demand for those cars. Those cars are cool looking. I mean, they're the coolest. I said, as we keep talking bullish, it keeps going up. So other people may be talking. Maybe it's not just us. I don't think we're that influential, but holy cow, it's just one.
You never know who's lurking in this chat, Dennis. You don't know. We don't know who's in this chat.
These stocks before I buy them.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, you don't know who Matt Ben is, or Aviator One is, or Spinner, Jared. They could be running billions of dollars right now.
Spinner. The market went up.
The market
went up 2 points. S&Ps. Tesla just went up 3%. So, or 3 points. So. I don't think it's because the market's ripping higher. It's because I think it's going up today. And that's not why, because I said it. I just think there's other people reading the same tea leaves that I am. They're coming in, institutional money here. You read it here, and I don't think it was bullish. I think it was I don't think it was bearish. I think it was very bullish that they had the money. They could have did this deal. There was believers, and I think this is a $400 stock by the end of the year. I'm going to say it right now. Tesla's $400 by the end of the year.
And, also, I'll mention Gene again. I mean, he's been spot on over the years with his picks. He's been pounding the table on this one, and he thinks that it's more than a car company. He thinks it's a computer on wheels. So I wish I could have a better vision. I don't know. A lot of you guys are probably too young to remember the Jetsons. But there's things.
We're comparing Tesla to the Jetsons now. We better stop talking about it.
I don't know. Things are going to change, and that's from my perspective. We'll see if Tesla is the leader in the industry. I'll tell you right now, if you are shorting this thing and it starts to clear 326, 327, get the hell out of there. Just get the hell out of there. Don't even think about it, because there's a big gap up that 360 area. And respect the trading range.
The Bears on the weekend had you believing, because this came out Friday night, and everything that I read had you believing this was going to open at $250. There was just a party in the Bear camp. They're looking at here this morning, and they're throwing up in their mouths because it's not down enough. And it's not like for them, for their thesis, because this is what they wanted. They wanted the deal to not work out. They wanted it to be proven, that it's not going to go private. It's not going to happen. They're like, when that happens, this thing's going to fall $30-$40. I thought it would be down more too on this. I was hoping it'd be down more so I could buy it, but they're coming in, buying it here again. And remember, before any of this stuff happened, they reported a quarter and the stock was trading at 340. So that was before any of these tweets, any of this stuff. You're now at 314. So the fundamentals of Tesla are getting better, and it's not been killed when the fundamentals were weak. That's why I think, why not? Why not? This is the bull market, and we can move right into AMD and all the other stocks.
All right, let's move in.
What is hot? This hasn't been a hot one.
There's nothing hotter than pot stocks, man.
Well, there's nothing hotter than pot. The pot stocks are crazy. So they're just off to the races. I mean, give us some, details. There was a news on Tilray here, because this thing is up another. Is this just continual momentum? It's up another 15% here today. Are we expecting every company, every pot stock to get taken over here, Spencer? Is there news here, TLRY? It's up 16% again this morning.
Yeah, Tilray actually did have a headline, but I didn't even think that was the catalyst. Tilray was selected by Nova Scotia Liquor Corp to supply a variety of adult-use cannabis brands and products. So they just signed a contract with to be a supplier, but I mean, that's not the whole sector's hot, so it's more than just that.
It's unbelievable, these stocks, and since obviously the investment from Constellation Brands into CGC, these stocks have not looked back. Any pullback has been bought.
$7. Are you kidding
it doesn't
me?
play to chase, but it does in these stocks. It's paid to chase. It feels like it's so overextended now. I feel like you're way late to the party if you're coming in here and buying it now, but you can't argue with it. I'd rather, if you're short here, you're throwing up again. So I'm definitely not coming here and shorting again. I feel like we're getting towards the end of it, though. I feel like we're almost feeling like upside capitulation here this morning, where everybody says, I got to buy. These things are going up. I got to buy. And then we're going to see them down 20% here in a day. I kind of feel like that's where we're going. CBC again is up 47.5 this morning. The MJ1, which you like, Spencer, good call on this one. It's up another 50 cents. Cron, somebody in the chat was talking about that.
Call is
close to 994. It's 1138 in the pre-market. I feel like we're getting an upside capitulation, but I'm not going to short a rocket ship.
I mean, are these all growers or manufacturers, or because I have not done my research on these? Is it is that what it is? Is this just
they do a bunch
the growers? Spencer?
They do a bunch of different things. Growing is one of them, but they also have different portfolios of products. Could be cannabis, could be hemp, could be actual cannabis, could be just cannabis products like edibles or things of that nature. So it's more than just like growing cannabis, but that is part of it.
Yeah, it's it. I would if you absolutely feel like you have to trade or be in the stock, you're looking for profit targets, just keep an eye on the pre-market high. I mean, right now we're up 714. We're trading right at the highs of the session. Don't know what the short interest is. 51.48 is your pre-market high. Keep an eye on that. If you get followed through that, then you're going to keep on going. If you get one of these occasions where, you float up, you open at 50 and it starts to head south, then, you can bank on the pre-market high standing up. It's because a lot of times you get overdone on this. The other one is CRON. And that one, it looks like you got a little bit of a seller, and don't get carried away here, but your last four brackets, you've had a seller right around 1180. This is a little bit of a lower price stock. That's not an all-time. Oh, what's the all-time high? Oh, all-time high in Cron is 1190. So there at least is a level that comes into play. And CGC, I don't even know this thing. trading up in the pre-market. Looks like someone has a little opinion up here at 47.5, 48, but it's not really backing off. Yeah, S&Ps continue to climb here, up 11.25. So pot stocks and the SPOOs, what a combination. Tesla's hanging in there, and I guess the other stock, AMD. I mean, that's
just a monster.
Gosh,
I'm kicking myself so hard on this one because I said it on the show, and obviously we're not right 100% of the time. Spinner's pointing out that I said on Friday that I thought it was upside capitulation on Friday. I don't remember saying that, but I'm sure I may have said it because these things have been a rocket ship mode. I feel like AMD is getting to the point where it's got to go upside capitulation here eventually too. Because it's gone. But I actually turned bullish on this thing. If you remember on the show a week ago, I bought the stock 1956 and I stuck it in my short-term trading account. Never do that if you've got it on for a swing trade or a longer-term account because you will trade out of it. I traded out of it for a small scalp and I look at it 5 days later and the stock's up 20% and I'm absolutely kicking myself. And it's the same thing with Micron. If you're into it for, a longer-term time horizon, you can't have it sitting in front of you. As a trader, you'll trade out of it. So that's the day trader in me. So typically what I do is when I want something for a swing trade, I put an account that I don't look at. And I know I have it. I got a mental stop going. But don't just have it sitting in front of you because it's too easy to trade out of. So, there's a worse sale I could do. And, just a tangent here. I hear this all the time. Well, you can't go wrong taking a profit. I completely disagree with that statement. You can go very wrong taking a profit because too many traders and investors take their profits too quickly and let their losers ride and ends up obviously not being pretty on their account at the end of the day. So I think you've got to, when you make a good call on something, you got to get the money out of it that you made for that call because you're going to make bad calls too. You can't be right on 100% of the time. I messed up this AMD big time. That whatever winner I had feels like a loss.
25.69 was your high back in October of 2016. And this was a long time ago, but I had a bunch of like $2 and $3 calls in this thing that went off the board. I should have just bought leaps and just forget about it. And now, I don't know, 25.69. That was your high, like I said, back in October of 2016. If you want to use that as a target, pre-market high. See if there's any paper here. 24.97. Maybe someone trying to wiggle out of the piece at $25. Good volume trading in AMD here in the pre-market.
It's just this market. What is hot stays hot. And it's not only AMD. I mean, look at NVIDIA too. So you want to just go to the chips. NVIDIA, after its earnings report, couple days stuck down, new all-time highs. And Citron tried a couple of times to bring this down. They can't influence NVIDIA. They're trying to bring it down with their influence. Good luck. Sorry, Andrew left. No luck on this one for you. It's taking off here again. I think NVIDIA is going to 300 here eventually, too. These stocks are just hot. I mean, we're at all-time highs. Let's just stop and say everything is at all-time highs in the U.S. So you had all four indices, major indices, make new all-time highs here over the weekend. And now, or over on Friday. And the hottest ones are going to be it was growth stocks. They want growth right now. This is full risk on here this morning. Is it going to turn? Is it going to change? Always does. But timing that can be very difficult. So, I mean, I look at some of these and it's hard to chase them now. But on the pullbacks here, you're going to have buyers all over these things. I mean, even imagine NVIDIA here. It pulls back to the 260 area now. All kinds of people who are playing it short after the earnings report. Maybe some people following Citron that are saying, oh, thank you, for coming in for me a little bit to cover. And I mean, that's what can keep driving these things higher. And AMD, same story. People saying, well, it doesn't make hardly any money, but they've got a story there. And the story matters more than the fundamentals a lot of times. Right now, if you've got a good story, you're going up.
For JJ here, thoughts on Micron. Usually Micron moves with these stocks a little bit better. We are trading up 75 cents in the pre-market. You have been higher in the pre-market session, 51.72. If you was looking at this from a day trading perspective, nice little move over the pair highs at the 50-70 area. So if you're waiting for a pullback, that old resistance is going to be new support. You do have a double top to contend with at $52. Your highs on the 10th and 13th, $51.95 and $52.06. Dennis, you never did get to your magical 45.
I was at 45.11. I had the order 45.11 that day. Got down to 45.62 because I was like, I'm gonna, add my final leg of my micron. It didn't quite get there. Got down to 45, so I missed for 50 cents. Now I'm looking at the thing 6 points higher and kind of throwing up again too. My day trading's been going great. I tell you, my swing trading and stuff, I'm just missing, or I'm getting out of them too soon. So I'm doing a lot of things, rookie mistakes, making a good call. I've been making some good calls in the show, and just not either not executing or missing the trade. Try not to miss the trade. If you're going in something for $3-4, don't miss the trade trying to save yourself 30 cents, because that's the worst thing, to watch the stock turn around that you were bullish and you didn't get it and you watch it take off. And I've seen that happen with me a lot lately. Remember, like 2 months ago, my swing trading, I couldn't do no wrong. Now it's like, even on my good calls, I can't do any right. So it just cycles like that. So I feel like I'm making really good calls right now. I feel like I'm seeing the market. I'm in the zone, but I'm not executing well. And I got to clean up the execution, and I got to, not sell my winners too soon. Like in the case, of an AMD or, even Micron that day, I actually bought it the next day as a day trade of 46.5, not even as day trade, as it was supposed to be a swing trade, which turned into a day trade, which shouldn't happen. So I liked it. I thought the bottom was in. I was right with that call, and obviously didn't profit from it because the scalper blood in me. So gotta hold on those winners. Hold on to those winners.
Real quick check under the hood here for JJ also on WWE, and it had that amazing move, just tacked on, just month after month gain. Trading up here in the pre-market, I see the all-time high, not seeing any news on it, 85.93. But the all-time closing high, I'm going to use that as my level here, 83.84. That day that you made, or actually it was the day before. On July 27th, you made an all-time high at 85.93. The previous day, it closed at 83.84. So kind of tailed off since then. So if you're looking for a possible target in WWE on the rally, all-time high, closing high, 83.84.
I mean, look at this chart. This does not look like a bearish chart to me. This thing looks like it's rearing up to go to all-time highs here too.
Yeah.
Am I a believer in the WWE story? I don't know long term, but I can just tell you that chart, that looks like a bullish chart to me. It looks like there's going to be all kinds of buyers below. It looks like it's setting up to go here again. So I like that chart. Stock could probably see $100 here. I mean, as long as the bull stays intact, these are the stocks that are going to go again, because these are the stocks that went before. These are the stocks that are probably going to go again. So, love it or hate it from a fundamental perspective, the technicals on that looks like it's ready to go, WWE.
How about another one? I know that you had a good run in earlier. I think some of the other people. Dropbox. You had a DBX. I think they had a lockup.
Expire. It held.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Held the lows.
It did look like someone there. See the volume on Friday?
Yeah, huge with the expiry. Yeah.
Yeah, 20.
It was trading like crazy too. I tried to day trade a couple times, like off of those levels, but it's holding those lows. It's held, 26.50 only breached it by a dime.
Yeah.
So it's trying to hold there, but this stock is not going up in an up market here right now. So there's weight on it. Maybe it was the expiration. Maybe it's eventually going to go higher here. But like Spinner, Spinner made a good point earlier too. It's like, why do you want to try to call a bottom and something like this when you got stocks going up? Like, why do you want to pick on this when there's easier plays out there? Something like a WWE looks a lot easier from a buy perspective than a Dropbox where you're fighting the tape. Like even BOX, and I was long BOX here overnight.
Oh, that was the one you got traded.
No. It was Dropbox. Dropbox
had
made the big money on. They're called Box, Dropbox, different companies completely, but Box get confused with all these boxes. But it reports on Tuesday, and you're in this environment here where obviously I like extracting that alpha of being long at stock ahead of the report, then selling it right before it reports. I talk about that all the time. I was long Box over the weekend. I was long CRM over the weekend. I was long all these things over the weekend because they report this week. And they probably could come in and buy these things Monday morning. What do? They're, the CRM is trading up in the 154 handle. Box is trading up here as well. I've already sold them because they already I had them just for overnight trades. I will probably rebuy them here again today. But stock Dropbox going up over 1%, CRM up over 1.5%, and the market's only up 0.2, 0.3. So I'm getting paid for that call there again because I usually short it relative to the market, even with beta hedging. But these things are just stocks that are going to report, tend to be hot ahead of the reports. And if you're looking at stocks that are moving here, this box looks like it's breaking out too. After reports on Tuesday night, who knows? But I'll tell you, the next 2 days sets up well for BOX.
Really interesting here. You had 3 highs at 96.65, and then you had the high yesterday at 26.70. So that's a big level. You are trading above it right now. So let's keep covering some stocks here.
Spencer, is there somewhere you want to go? There is a few ratings. I know you had a few stocks on your list, so we'll throw it to you for a second here because we've kind of taken the show here away from you. What's on your radar?
I just want to say in a few minutes here, probably about 5 minutes or so, we're going to get Jason Raznick on, who's going to just kind of talk us through what he's thinking with Tesla. But we didn't talk China at all yet this morning. And Chinese stocks are up on news that they're going to finally, it appears, stop devaluing their yuan. And so look across the board, and we're up in China. I mean,
I think the lows are all in for the Chinese stocks.
Really?
I think we saw that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I do. I think. Well, I felt like that. Same thing where I was saying, I feel like upside. It was down. It was the actual capitulation on the stocks. And if you go back to the day, I can point out it's August 15th. Baba went down to $165. Baidu that day breached 210, and then they turned and they got up. Now you look at the people who are short the things, they're kind of meandering here, trying to figure out if they want to go back down. And we can't talk about like the IQs and the smaller ones because those are their own different stories there. But the bigger guns there, and if you look at the FXI, it's the same thing that tracks a lot of the big guns there. KISS 40, and it's been up. I feel like the bottom was in. I feel like now on pullbacks, you're going to see buyers come into these stocks, and there's growth there still, and this market is hungry for growth. So I think on some of these names, I think they're going to come back into there. So, if Baba makes new lows, I would probably be out of it. And it was an ugly candle after the earnings, so I got to hand the bears that. But I think that 165 is safe. I don't think it's going down there again.
Just real quick, if you look, I know the IQ is one of the smaller ones here, but look at the last 4 days of ranges, consolidation station. All your lows in the
breakout over 30.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly, Dennis.
I'd wait for that though. Wait for the breakout.
Yep. So that's an important level to keep an eye on. And then let me see if I can find. I'm just looking where instead of buying these on the cheap, Billy. I mean, you got a double. Buyers really ganging up at the $10 handle. You're trading up 40 cents at 11.31, and then Huya, is that the other one?
Yeah, that was kind of the leader, I would say, almost. That was the one that everybody. Yeah, HUYA, IQ was hot too, but it was HUYA that was really. When I was trading these things, I was trading them very actively. When we talked about them a lot back in May and June when they were going straight up, and I even traded them a little bit, on the short side there. After that, I had a pretty good call. Calling the top, and obviously it's hard to call tops, but sometimes you get them, and I got lucky maybe on those ones and called, the HUYA and IQ, and I actually was able to make some money on the short side too. I think you were too, but against Scalper Blood, you took you out of your puts too soon.
I know. So, that'd be amazing if I could turn around and make money on the call side. I'm going to keep that eye on $30 in this one. For you HUYA traders, I mean, you're trading up 74 cents at 26.91. Look at the 27.80, 27.90 level. You had 4, 5, 6 highs right in there. So clearing 28 would be big for this year. And if you turn your head, it could probably do that pretty quickly.
Jump over here. Let's go into the ratings parade here because Morgan Stanley, Spinner pointing out big note from them here this morning.
Wait, actually, can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt that to just grab Jason for a second? So, Jason,
I'll bring Jason on now. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna come on right now. He's gonna come on right now. So, Jason Raznick is the CEO of Benzinga. Has been a Tesla bull for quite a long time. Jason, I think you're all set up to good to go. What was your reaction to that news on Friday night?
It was an interesting time to release it.
Friday night news dump.
Yeah, Friday night. I mean, I read it Friday night about 11 o'clock. I was reading it. I mean, they came to that decision Thursday afternoon at the Fremont facility with the board. My reaction is I'm happier this way. I mean, I am long the stock and own call options that were basically expiring worthless because they're next year's 500s and 600s or 2000.
Those will have some value again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so the way you look at it is, I mean, he claims that they had the money. They had the money. Now, who knows exactly? And I think there's a couple of things that really weighed on him that, Tesla being a private company, institutions like Fidelity couldn't own the shares. So he was going to lose a lot of that. So who knows if he really had the value. The negative is they're going to be dealing with, the shorts in the market. Elon just has to ignore them and go with the product plan. If you look at companies out there that you know of, who has a better product pipeline? I mean, not everyone reveals there. I mean, the semis, the trucks. I mean, that's such a big industry, and their trucks are so good. I have a friend who is in one of them already, and it's just like there's so much stuff they have on the innovation run. Now, on the bears weighing Tesla down, there's a guy who used to work there 3 years ago, and this weekend released all this stuff about what's wrong with the code. It's in the subnet user group, and gave a lot of reasons why the code and all this stuff is bad. So, I mean, there's going to be bulls and bears pulling on Tesla for the foreseeable future. And to be honest, Elon didn't need to say, hey, with the financing, secured. He didn't need to say that. He just said, hey, what do you guys think of me buying it? So who knows? The SEC is going to come in with a fine. That's what some people are speculating. The SEC will do a little bit of a fine, but it's definitely gives us something to talk about.
I mean, I've been in the bear camp for Tesla for a while here, and you've turned me bullish here, Jason. I actually put right before you came on this morning. I don't know if you were listening, but I said I think this thing's $400 by the end of the year, and I actually think this is good news for the stock. We see it down 8 points here, but it gets rid of that. If it was 420, well, that's the highest it's going to go for you as a public company if they actually took this deal out. So your 500, 600 calls all of a sudden have some potential value here again, because if the bull thesis works, cars actually perform and they sell like they were, you've got that whole thesis back in play here again. But not only that, it's like you look at it and there's investors. I mean, there's people who believe in this. And when I read that Wall Street Journal article, it sounds like they did have the financing in place. It sounds like Volkswagen was going to be a major player in there. So when you've got the competitors here looking, to come in here and say, this is our opportunity to get a piece, I mean, they're believers as well. So the competitors are believers. I've became a believer somehow too. As a value investor, I have a trouble with it. But when you look at this, and I've sat in those cars before, I mean, the cars are amazing. I don't know anything about the trucks, but that's a whole nother angle on it. And you've got analysts like Guggenheim that are saying this thing could make $19 a share in 2020. I don't know if that's possible or not, but there's some analysts that believe hard in this too. So if all of a sudden this company starts to become profitable, I think the bull thesis gains a lot more strength.
Yeah, Dennis, and there's two things. And didn't you get long the stock like a few months ago too for a little
I did, and I
time?
sold it, and I wish I wouldn't. And you know what? And I could buy it right now, almost at the same price that I got long. That's why this morning, you almost got it. Talk me into it, Jason. Tell me to buy Tesla here this morning because I want to buy it. But the value investor guy in me says, what do you do? This is going totally against your whole investment thesis.
I exactly. I mean, it is going against your investment thesis because it does not look like a value stock at this point. But I mean,
it could though one day.
It's like the tale of two different stories. I mean, one night we have our Benzinga annual summer party, and I'm talking to one of the persons that was working the event, and she's like, her son ordered a Model 3. He gets it in a month and a half, so he wanted to talk to me. So I talked to him last night. He couldn't be more excited, and I think it'll be a change. I mean, you wouldn't think a car could do this, but a Tesla changes, how you think about driving cars. It just does. The other end of it, I had dinner Sunday night, and people are like, how many more days to give Elon Musk before he's like committed, before the board kicks him out, because they read the article about how he took Ambien and this stuff, and that Grimes, that his ex-girlfriend. So, there's two sides of it, which makes a market. So I like hearing the people saying the stuff negative about Elon Musk. I read a book about Elon Musk about last Christmas time, and that just changed my thoughts. I mean, about him and what he can accomplish, and whatever he puts his mind to, they usually accomplish. They do go through a lot of trials and tribulations. This has to do with the space rockets, and they had like 4 failures, and there was the 5th one. If this one failed, the company was done. And I mean, the trials and tribulations they go to get this thing done was just amazing to me. Yes, I mean, you do have Porsche coming out with the bear case. You'll hear Porsche's coming out with these great cars in the electric space. It's just Tesla set up for it. A lot of people for 4 years now, maybe 5 years, when I started buying the stock, and they would say to me, Jason, these auto manufacturers are going to wipe away Tesla. They're just going to wipe them away. GM, Ford, they're just going to wipe them away. That's what everyone said. And what people don't realize is they're not going to wipe them away, or they weren't motivated to, because they made so much money on the combustion engine. So to change their whole business model and just throw it away, that's hard. Now the next thing is those auto manufacturers, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they make money on service. So you see all those auto dealerships all across the country, those big dealerships, they make money when you bring your Grand Cherokee in for service. Tesla makes money when they sell the car, not on the service. So it's two different models that, and you know, another thing with Tesla is you customize a car and you get it delivered to you. I mean, I think that's what, if you remember a company, Cars Direct, it was founded by Idea Lab, Bill Gross, many years ago. That was like the future. Hey, why just go to a thing and go pick a car? Order your car, customize it to you, and get it 2 months later. That's what Tesla does. Is it a better model? I don't know. I mean, I think for the consumer, maybe, but, you know, there's a lot of things that Tesla doesn't have to go with like existing infrastructure costs. I mean, the service, the whole thing, those auto dealerships everywhere. I mean, that's why states are so against having Tesla allowed to do, you know, sell cars in their state because of all the leases for all these dealerships. It really changes the game. So
we're on the line with Jason Rasnick here. He's the CEO and founder of Benzinga. Jason, you have young kids, right? And Josh and your daughter and your younger daughter. I mean, like, to me, when I'm thinking about buying Tesla here, I'm thinking about the future modes of transportation. I mean, what do you really think? Like, when Josh is 16, I mean, is transportation going to be the same? I mean, I know that's probably 8-10 years now. What is, and that's where I think Tesla could be huge. What are they doing to change mass transportation? Not everyone can, afford those expensive Teslas.
Right.
What's your vision? What are you going to buy for Josh for his 16th birthday? Are you going to get him a Tesla, or is he going to Uber everywhere? I mean, what's the future of transportation?
Joel, expensive Teslas. I bet you the Model 3 was cheaper than your daughter's car when she was like 17. So Tesla's coming into price range, but you're right on the price on the different future transportation. And they ask Elon about flying, about, the underground tunnel, there's a lot. So future modes, I mean, I always thought there'd be flying cars, but the truth it doesn't make sense.
I'm disappointed. I saw Back to the Future back there in 1985 and the flying cars there. I was like, I thought we'd be there by now. I'm disappointed too.
And that show, but Joel, seriously, the underground tunnel and Kevin O'Leary, who is from Shark Tank, who was in our office a few months ago, said you're not going to think of Tesla in 10 years. His question, Joel, to our audience in the room said, hey, what's your favorite train manufacturer? Where everyone's like, what? And the truth is, you don't know who makes trains because it's four wheels. It's on train tracks and it takes you from A to B. That's what Kevin O'Leary's thing is. He's like, automotive always underperforms the market. Actually, Kevin O'Leary, when he was in our office, I was about to buy more shares of Tesla, and he convinced me not to. He's the one who scared me the most on Tesla because he's like, if you watch his YouTube video, it has like 50,000 views on our channel. But he was explaining how automotive always, performs below the S&P, and the brand he thinks is gonna matter less. Now, where I disagree is I think Tesla's like Apple. So when you go to a Tesla store in Michigan, they have a Tesla store right next to the Apple store. And it becomes that experiential thing. Maybe it's not going to be the car always, Joel. Maybe it's going to be the branded where you have your power wall, you're on solar, you're not paying any energy costs. Joel, you're a swimmer, I think. And to heat a pool costs money. Will solar and will Tesla really create a brand around it? Not just, be this energy company. Will it really create a brand? That's the thing that I think has a chance to do.
One more thing before I let you go. What the hell did you do at the cannabis conference?
Okay. They've been hot ever since. Benzinga blasted this off.
Yeah. So Benzinga, 2 deals. I mean, Patrick Lane is telling me about a deal that Bloomberg wrote about one deal. Now today you're seeing these stocks, and stay tuned. We got a little more cannabis surprises, but this Tilray up, whatever the IPO is, and then canopy growth doesn't stop, and it's unbelievable. I mean, we had at our cannabis, the BZ cannabis event, 600 people came, 400 investors, 200 companies. Spencer Israel is working his butt off there. A lot of interviews. I think he's the cannabis expert now, right? Spencer Israel?
Expert's a strong word.
Or should I say cannabis connoisseur?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah, that's better.
No comment.
You're gonna have to move to Canada if that's the case.
No comment. No comment. Dennis, I don't know why you didn't come to town. Spencer Israel, Joel.
I'm coming.
No.
I'm at my cottage right now.
That's not what I'm saying. Friday night, There was a party like no other in the history of Benzinga. So they want me to cut me off right now. Spencer's like, okay. So
I'm trying to move on. I'm
Tell
just
the
trying to
story.
move. I'm just
Spencer
trying.
Israel hanging off the rafters.
Yeah, he jumped from the third floor balcony into the pool. He is quite dancing. Don't lie, Spencer Israel.
I did not.
Okay.
I am a
All right.
You're
podcast.
lucky Lisa wasn't
All
there.
right,
She would
Jason.
have yelled at you when you did that, Spencer.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming on,
He
Jason.
must have been on that cannabis thing. All right.
Yes. All right. Moving on. 8:40.
Moving on. We don't want to get any of this
Spencer
Spencer
knows
Israel
when Jason comes on.
shenanigans.
He knows when Jason comes on that he's going to get ribbed. He just knows it. So
I'm
he's
just
like,
trying to keep the show.
okay.
I'm just trying to keep it rolling here. So, all right, we got 15 minutes
Rolling. You see the terms the guy uses?
left. Oh, God.
He's all about the cannabis now, the Spencer Israel guy. Rolling.
All right.
All right, stop picking on Spencer. Ratings land. We were going to talk the Morgan Stanley note. So there's a big Morgan Stanley note. Spencer, give us the details. This is in the steel sector.
Hold on. Yeah. X got, I'm trying to pull up my calendar right now. I saw X got upgraded, right?
X downgraded.
Downgraded, sorry. Yeah.
Steel
I'm
Dynamics
pulling
upgraded.
up my
And
note right now.
AKS upgraded.
Okay.
So they're making some bold calls here. X down, STLD up, AKS up. I think that was it. That's all I had at 8 o'clock anyways.
Yeah.
I just don't understand this and all the tariffs because it was supposed to be good. The stocks looks horrible in X. You may have a head and shoulders bottom here in X. I know that mortgage going against the call here, but I like this thing if I can get it under $30, leaning on the low of the move. So, and then what did they do? STLD? Did they go the different direction?
Yeah, the Paris trade. STLD up and AKS up. So STLD is catching a big bid here this morning. A little more volatile stock, so it's reacting a little bit better. 46 bucks it just ticked to. I actually offered a 45.98, but best bid's up at 45.57. So it does look like it wants to go up at least a couple percent on this here. Big call from Morgan.
Yeah. I mean, don't they know that all the stocks in the same sector usually go the same way, right?
Let's stop that.
Yeah. This is looks like Wormaful here in the Google chat is asking about EA and Cover Barons was talking about the future of gaming and it was very bullish for EA and ATVI. They're both trading in the green here. And they're just talking that, the cloud is, going to change things in the sector. They also talked about, things going possibly subscription-based. We've talked about it a lot, on the show, how, e-gaming and e-sports, are the wave of the future. And people are probably a hell of a lot cheaper than putting your kid on a travel hockey team. Right, Dennis?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That hockey's expensive, man. So I'm just coming into that now. I'm signing my boy up for his first year,
Really?
and it's not cheap. Yeah.
Get him in the pool, Dennis. I mean, let's make a swimmer out of Spencer. We don't, hockey. Hockey's
We're in Canada. We don't put them in hockey. They'll like throw you out of the country. I like these stocks still, and I've said I said back in the spring that I thought these things were going to be all-time highs by the end of summer. I'm going to be wrong because they hit all-time highs in July. But now they've pulled back. So it obviously hit it before there, although Take-Two is at all-time highs, TTWO, and it's blasting off this morning. But EA and ATVI came down after the earnings reports here. Seems like there's eternal bids below here. I mean, that 125 is hard bottom on EA. You're buying it here. I think you're happy. I think you look at this the end of the year, I think it'll be back up in the 150 area. There's just a lot of belief in this. This is still growing like crazy. The three major ways to play it are Take-Two, EA, and ATVI. So I think that continues. I also think Microsoft has obviously held up in this trading with the multiple it is because of their gaming component as well. So this area just remains hot. It'll start catching press here again. I know, Jacksonville thing was awful here over the weekend, but anyways, I think the gaming is still hot.
TWO is definitely the best in breed here, trading at an all-time high. 134.63 was your high, and your close at 34.01. So, really a nice 5-day run in it. When I get stocks having these kind of runs and stuff, I always like to keep a close eye on the high of the move, or also the highest low. Is something that's a potential stop out point. And Dennis, weren't you in one small one? What was it?
I sold it, and I'm kicking myself.
Oh, you
and
sold
Glue Mobile. Yeah, I had Glue Mobile. I bought this thing in the 3s, I think. I sold some I bought in the 4s. And I sold some in the 6s. It came down to 5. I was feeling pretty happy and saying, hey, and I never rebought it. And here it is at 764. I didn't want to take it through the earnings report either, and I'd lighten up the rest of it there. It was the wrong move because the stock has come right back here, and it seems like the gaming stocks just go. I'm still in Zynga. I bought this one here.
I just pulled that chart up. Are you
yeah,
looking
you know
at my
why?
screen?
Well, they just signed a thing with Disney to make a game. I think it's the Forgotten one. So it's not. There's definitely some better plays out there. So it's speculative for me. This is just speculative capital. But it's kind of been meandering here. I think it's going to get a lift here eventually. I think it's going to get thought of again. So it's one that I've just stuck in long-term portfolio, not looking at it here, but speculative because this could, this obviously doesn't make money really, or very little money if it does ever. So only speculative capital, but I like it long-term. I still think Zynga's got some hope there too. Glue Mobile, I would love it to pull back. All these things are, I think, buys on pullbacks.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ping Michael Pachter today. It's been a while since we've had him on. Have you asked him to come on recently, Spencer? You've been in contact with him?
I haven't, but he's usually game for Mondays is usually his best.
I know.
Yeah, I know. That's a good. You're all over the puns.
I'm not even doing it intentionally. I'm just saying.
Well, yes, I haven't been doing as many puns lately, so Spencer's been picking up the slack here. S&P's hanging out 3 ticks off the high of the session, 28.88. So really, no resistance in sight. Maybe I think someone made a call in the chat last week for 2,900, and I said no way. I won't say that this week. We're just knocking on the door. And I also saw in the chat, I think it was from Buy Apple, and he was taught that TLRY, I think, reports tomorrow. Oh, so, if you're enjoying this run, you're sitting on a lot of profits, you're not happy about, you don't no way to predict how it's
$50. What?
Yeah. Well, you could do the Nick Shaheen, stock replacement strategy. If you got a boatload of profits in it, you still think it's going, you could take some off the table, do some limited risk with options, and I'm sure the premium's really jacked in those. Or, if you're more on the selling side of stuff and you could sell, I don't even know what kind of option market they're making. They're probably having to create a new series every day. But, it's just important to note the earnings are coming out. Never know how these things are going to react to the report.
Yeah, and when it's straight up into the report, I'm always scared to hold them into it. I mean, I think if you've been buying these things for a week ago, this is like, it's a windfall. I mean, the thing's doubled in a week and a half here. So if you're coming here now, you're way, way late to the party. So eventually there's going to be some type of pullback, but I'm not sure. So again, Nick Shaheen, we've learned so much from him on Tuesdays. He comes on at 8:35. If you listen, shout out to you, Nick. I know you listen lots of times, but he always says it's too high to chase, too hot to short. And that's where I'm in it. I'm in this too. I'm looking at these things. I'm not buying them now. I mean, it was $50, $40 2 days ago. It was $30 a week ago. Hard to chase it, but I mean, it's way too hot to short. I mean, you could short this 50, 60 in your face. So you wait for that red candle. Like the way I was playing the short side in the HUIA when they did this is wait for that ugly day. Wait till and it will pull back like 20% in like 2 hours. It'll pull back on nothing. It'll just all of a sudden go down 20%. Be like, what happened? What's the news headline? Well, it's just overdone. It's way crowded now. So wait till that happens. Maybe it's going to happen at 50. Maybe it's going to happen at 60. Maybe it's going to happen at 70. Well, no, it's still going straight up. But wait for that ugly candle. And then what happens is you usually get a lift back up where it might try to get close up to retest that high. And that's when you strike, because then you have a reference point. But when your short stocks just making new all-time highs, there's no reference point. There's no pain. Everybody's up in the thing. It can go anywhere. So it's very hard to call the top. Wait till you think the top is in, and then try to make the call when you got the reference point afterwards. That's how I play them short. So not even thinking about shorting this until I see at least a 20% down move. And then I'll look the next couple of days and see if it's struggling to get back up there. And then that's telling me there's people willing to ring the register. And that's what you want to see. But you can have an earnings event here. So that throws all that out potentially.
I just want to check, just got going back to Friday, near the close. You had a big move in Arconic. I had a nice pop near the close. Spencer, you get the reason for that late pop in ARNC.
There was rumors that they were talking about they were in talks about a sale, but that's just a rumor and nothing even close to confirmation of that. It was Reuters citing a source, and this is at 3:45 on Friday. So
yeah. We've heard rumors on Arconic before. You've seen some gap ups in it before. So could this happen? Maybe. But they're willing to sell themselves. It doesn't sound like everybody's willing to buy them. They're willing to sell themselves is what it was. So I'm not a believer here. I do have Arconic in my long-term investment portfolio, but I think if you're jumping in it, just in the play that you think this is getting taken over, I don't think it's probably getting taken over. From a fundamental perspective, I don't know. It was Alcoa. So I have Alcoa Arconic. This was the legacy Alcoa position. I've had it in my portfolio for years. It's really been a dog. I mean, I think I'm actually up in it somehow, or maybe I'm just slightly down because of the Alcoa, the A and the ARNC. But I mean, really, when I look at what the market's done over the last decade and what this has done over the last decade, this has been a very much underperformer.
Okay, Spencer mentioned in pre-market show that Netflix has had his best week since January here, and nice move here in Netflix. What do you? I mean, you want to figure a 50% retracement here, basically from 420 and change to 320. That's without getting picked. Well, actually, it went to 310. So, and what was the high here? Boom! It was let's call it 425. 115 point move. So you could easily get 57 and a half a bad. Yeah, 375, 380, and look at that. That coincides with on that earnings day. You rally back to 385. The next day was 383, and then you get into that gap area. So nice move here in Netflix. Up.
I was completely wrong on Friday. So I said I would fade. It was 350 in the pre-market. I was like, I felt like fading the SunTrust move. Did not trade it, but I said if I was going to trade, I probably would be fading the SunTrust move. Completely wrong. Stock went right up through that level. Closed high, closed strong, completely going here again. What's hot is hot. It's hard to right now fade the growth tech. They're on them and they're buying them. And if you're trying them, you got to have yourself an out. So if you're playing it from the short side, have yourself an out. Now 367. It's up another 9 points here this morning. I don't know where the party stops here, but it's been a party here for a week now. And Netflix was 310 a week ago. So again, this one same story now. It's too high for me to chase it here. It's up 20% a week and a half. And people say, well, it's still 20% off the highs, but I feel like you're going to get a better shot at it somewhere, but I'm not shorting it either because things are hot as hell.
All right. 8:57 now, a couple minutes left in the show, Dennis. Do we have any opening imbalances?
Same ones we always have.
Same ones we always have. All right.
165,000. SYY, not sure the story here. That one stands out. 161,000 shares to sell in SYY. That is significant. This is a risk-on market, so you're probably going to see some of the defensive names. Some of them are trading up in the pre-market. I think those are fades. If you're seeing stuff with the big, hefty yields here, TLT is slightly in the red here. I think, if you're going to go risk-on, they're going to be selling stocks and food stocks and some of your utilities, which actually are still trading in the green here this morning. Could get hit here this morning. So, and then again, it's just risk on. I mean, I don't see any reason for this to stop. If I'm just looking at other ones, you know what? Pfizer has some news on it this morning. I am short Pfizer just as a day trade here. It's got 63,000 to sell, but
it's coming in for you, Danny.
Yeah, I'm going to be covering here. I was puking a little bit this morning. I had it overnight because I had sell and balance every day. So I just keep shorting it overnight and covering it in the open, and it seems to be working. But they had news overnight here, which was some drug news, some good drug news, and that's what propelled it here. So I will be covering this one on the open, probably on the opening print, hoping to buy it under 42.50 at the open. I might actually even go long it. We'll see if I can do that. So anyway, so I'm just looking at that one, looking at the potential of actually covering this on the opening print.
All right, and then one more I want to hit on a rating. Downgraded this morning. Wedbush flying in the face of a couple upgrades we've had in the past few weeks on Chipotle. They are downgrading Chipotle this morning from neutral to underperform, and they're lowering their price target a whopping $5.
A stock, just Honey Badger stock, who seems to come in and then goes back up. So some of those stocks, I just can't trade this one. I'm just not good at it. So I just stay out of Chipotle, and that's what I do. So no opinion. I don't get this long-term story. It doesn't have the growth, but for whatever reason, it keeps going up.
I had Chipotle for dinner on Saturday.
I'm not good.
I disagree. It's delicious. But
you like it?
Yeah.
I've ate it a couple times. It's okay, but it's not blowing me away.
All right.
So Joel, do you have comments? I I suck at trading the stock.
$300, $400, $500 stocks. I'm not a huge fan on. You do have a lot of shorts in the market as well. Not much volume is traded. 510's your pre-market low. The only thing I'd be concerned about here, I really don't care about this downgrade, but if I had been buying this thing under 300, in the 400s, in the higher 400s, I'd be keeping an eye on the pair of lows right at 500. Going back to 16th and 17th, you had a 499.44 low and a $500.49 low. So as long as it holds 500, that's still $13 away here. I think you have to stay with the uptrend here in CMG.
All right. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks everyone who tuned in, and thanks to all you in our chat rooms on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you have a good rest of your morning. Hope you join us again tomorrow. I want to remind you folks that all the information on our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Thanks to Jason Rasnick as well for stopping by for 10 minutes or so to talk about Tesla. Again, hope you all have a good day. See you on Tuesday.